49 cents. That is what one serving costs. A single fruit you can find at any grocery store in America. And a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial published in the Journal of Nutrition showed it improved insulin sensitivity in just 6 weeks. Not a drug, not a procedure, a fruit. But here is the part that should genuinely disturb you. I spent 23 years in clinical practice believing I understood nutrition. I recommended fruit to my diabetic patients constantly. Eat more fruit, I told them. It is natural. It is healthy. Then I sat down with a meta-analysis from Johns Hopkins University that tracked over 4,000 patients. And I realized I had been getting it half wrong for decades. There are 7 common fruits sitting in your kitchen right now. 3 of them are actively protecting your blood sugar. 4 of them are sabotaging it. And the food industry has spent billions making sure you cannot tell the difference. The labels say natural. The commercials show smiling grandparents. But your liver does not care about marketing. Your liver cares about fructose load, fiber matrix, and absorption speed. And by those measures, 4 of these fruits are hitting your system almost exactly like a glass of soda. Now, I am going to rank all 7 today, worst to best. Number 7 is the one most seniors eat every single summer, thinking it is completely harmless. And number one is why a retired postal worker named Sandra saw her A1C drop from 8.2 to 6.3 in 12 weeks. Her doctor called me. He said, "What did you tell her to do?" I said, "1 fruit, eaten one specific way, at one specific time." But before I reveal that, let me tell you how old I am. Actually, no. Let me ask you something first. How old are you right now? Drop your age in the comments. I read every single one, and I want to know exactly who I am talking to today. Because your age changes everything about how your body handles fruit sugar. Here is the thing. I used to think fruit was simple, good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, but fruit is not one thing. Think of it this way. Imagine your kitchen pantry is a medicine cabinet. Some of those bottles heal you. Some of those bottles make you sicker. And a few of them, they look identical on the outside. Same colorful label, same promises, but the contents inside are completely different. That is exactly what fruit does to your blood sugar. The difference is not just about sugar content. It is about something most people have never heard of, the fiber matrix. Let me walk you through this because once you understand it, you will never look at fruit the same way again. Here is what I want you to understand. When you eat a whole fruit, the sugar inside is wrapped in a web of fiber. Picture it like a package wrapped in layers of bubble wrap. Your digestive system has to unwrap each layer before it can get to the sugar. That slows everything down. Your liver receives the fructose gradually. Blood sugar stays stable. No spike, no crash. But here is where it gets really interesting. When you juice that same fruit or blend it or eat a fruit that naturally has almost no fiber, you rip off all the bubble wrap. The sugar hits your liver like a fire hose aimed at a teacup. Your liver panics. It cannot process that much fructose at once. So it does the only thing it can. It converts that fructose directly into fat. And worse, it triggers something called hepatic insulin resistance. Your liver starts ignoring insulin signals. Now think about what that means. Once your liver stops responding to insulin, your fasting blood sugar goes up, even while you sleep, even when you have not eaten in 12 hours. You wake up, you check your number, and it is high, and you think, "I did not eat anything wrong yesterday." What happened? What happened is your liver. And what damaged your liver might have been the fruit you thought was helping you. This is not your fault. The food industry has been marketing fruit juice and smoothies to seniors for decades. Heart healthy, they say. Natural energy, they promise. But the science tells a completely different story. And the reason your doctor has not explained this to you is not because your doctor does not care. It is because the system gives your doctor 7 minutes to see you, write prescriptions, update your chart, and move on. There is no billable code for explaining fiber matrix biochemistry. There never has been. So let me do what the system will not. Let me show you exactly which fruits are hurting you and which ones are healing you. Starting with number 7. Number 7, watermelon. Now I can already hear some of you. Watermelon? It is mostly water. How bad could it be? Here is what the research actually shows. The glycemic index of watermelon is 72. Let that number sit with you for a moment. 72. That is higher than white bread, higher than a baked potato. And the way most people eat watermelon, 2 cups, 3 cups, sitting outside in July on an empty stomach, that is where it becomes genuinely dangerous for anyone managing blood sugar. Now here is the nuance. And I need to be fair about this. Per bite, watermelon does not have a lot of carbohydrate. It is mostly water, so a single cup by itself, probably fine. But nobody eats a single cup of watermelon. That is like saying one potato chip is fine. Technically true, practically meaningless. For anyone over 65 with blood sugar concerns, eating watermelon on an empty stomach is one of the fastest ways to spike your glucose, because there is almost no fiber inside to slow anything down. It is essentially sugar dissolved in water wrapped in a green shell. But here is what to do instead. If you love watermelon, eat it after protein, a small portion. After a meal, never alone, never as a snack between meals. That one change, eating it after protein instead of on an empty stomach, can cut the blood sugar impact by close to half. You can find a small personal watermelon at Costco or Trader Joe's for under $4. Cut it into portions ahead of time. 1 cup after dinner, that is the rule. And if you think watermelon is tricky, wait until you hear about number 6, because number 6 comes with a health claim printed right on the label, and that claim is exactly what makes it so dangerous. Number 6, pineapple. Now, pineapple has this reputation. People hear about bromelain, the enzyme in pineapple that helps with inflammation and digestion, and they make a leap. If it has an enzyme that is good for me, the whole fruit must be good for my blood sugar, right? Pay close attention to this number. 1 cup of pineapple chunks contains over 16 grams of sugar. And the fiber? Only 2.3 grams. That ratio, high sugar, low fiber, is exactly the combination that overwhelms your liver. Remember the bubble wrap? Pineapple barely has any. A study published in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition measured blood sugar responses to tropical fruits and found that pineapple produced significantly higher glucose spikes than other fruits in the same portion size. The bromelain does not protect you from the sugar. Bromelain digests protein. It does not slow down glucose absorption. 2 completely different systems. People confuse them because the word enzyme sounds healthy across the board. It is not. If you enjoy pineapple, a few small pieces after a protein-rich meal, never blended, never juiced, and honestly, there are better fruits for blood sugar that taste just as good. Stay with me because those are coming. But first, I need to tell you about Sandra. Sandra is 67 years old, a retired postal worker from Virginia. She represents a pattern I have seen dozens of times in practice. Sandra came to me after her doctor told her she was pre-diabetic. Her A1C was 8.2. She was terrified of needles, terrified of insulin injections, and she had been doing everything she thought was right. Picture her sitting across from me, hands folded tight, leaning forward. She whispers, "I eat fruit every morning, mango and pineapple. My daughter told me it was healthy. How can my sugar be this high?" I looked at her food journal, and I saw it immediately. But I will come back to Sandra's story in a few minutes. Because first, you need to understand what happens with the next 2 fruits on this list. It connects directly to what Sandra was doing wrong. Number 5, mango. This is the critical part. Mango is one of the most popular fruits on earth, and the sugar content is staggering. 1 whole mango, the kind you buy at Kroger or Publix for about $1.50, contains 46 grams of sugar. 46. That is more sugar than a can of cola. I need you to really hear this. Now look, mango is not poison. It has vitamin C. It has beta-carotene. But if you are trying to control blood sugar after 70, eating a whole mango is one of the worst things you can do. The glycemic load is high because of the sheer volume of carbohydrate per serving. You sit down with a mango and you are eating over 50 grams of carbs in one sitting. For context, that is the same carb load as 2 slices of white bread. And this is where it gets personal for me. I have had patients tell me they stopped eating bread. They feel proud of that change, but they eat a full mango every morning for breakfast. They think they are making a healthy swap, and their fasting blood sugar keeps climbing, and they cannot figure out why. They come back to me frustrated. They say, "I gave up bread, I gave up pasta. What else do you want me to give up? I do not want you to give up mango. I want you to eat half a mango, cut it in advance, store the other half. Eat it after your protein, not before." That half portion eaten in the right order is manageable for most people. Now here is where most people get genuinely confused, because number 4 is a fruit that almost every dietitian recommends, and they are actually half right, but only half. Number 4, grapes. Here is the problem with grapes. 1 grape is tiny, harmless, but nobody eats 1 grape. You sit down with a bowl. You are watching television, and before you know it, you have eaten 40 or 50 grapes, and 50 grapes is about 36 grams of sugar. That is the equivalent of 9 teaspoons of table sugar from fruit. But here is what nobody tells you. The skin of the grape contains resveratrol, which is genuinely beneficial for your cardiovascular system. But the flesh and the juice inside, pure fructose. So the medicine is in the skin, and the sugar is in the rest. 10 grapes. That is a reasonable portion for someone managing blood sugar. 10. Not a bowl, not a handful. 10 grapes eaten after a meal that started with protein and vegetables. I know that sounds extreme, like I am taking the joy out of eating. But consider this. 10 grapes after a proper meal is actually plenty of flavor. It is the mindless snacking that causes the damage. Now let me come back to Sandra, because this is where her story takes a turn. When I looked at Sandra's food journal, I saw exactly what I expected. Every morning, a full mango, half a pineapple, and a handful of grapes, blended into a smoothie. She was consuming over 70 grams of sugar before 8 in the morning, and she thought she was being healthy. I explained the fiber matrix to her. I drew it on a napkin, the bubble wrap analogy, and I watched her face change. She said, "So I have been drinking sugar water every morning for 3 years?" I said, "Not exactly, but close." The blender destroyed the fiber structure. Her liver was getting hit with concentrated fructose every single morning. But I did not just tell her what to stop, I told her what to start. And that starts with number 3. If this information is new to you, hit like right now so the algorithm shows this to someone who needs it. That one tap costs you nothing, but it changes everything for the next person. Number 3, the banana. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the banana has a secret, and that secret changes everything depending on one single variable. Here is what most people do not know. The starch inside a banana changes its molecular structure as the banana ripens. Think of it like this. A green banana has its sugar locked inside tiny vaults. Your digestive system cannot easily crack those vaults open. That locked up sugar is called resistant starch. It passes through to your colon. It feeds your gut bacteria. And it does not spike your blood sugar, but a ripe banana, yellow, spotted, soft. Those vaults have been opened. The resistant starch has converted into simple sugars. Same banana, same size, same weight, completely different blood sugar response. This next part surprised even me. A study published in Diabetic Medicine showed that unripe banana flour significantly reduced fasting blood sugar and improved insulin sensitivity in type 2 diabetic patients over 12 weeks. The glycemic index of a green banana is around 30 to 40. The glycemic index of a ripe banana, 62. Same fruit, different chemistry. So here is the rule. If you eat bananas, eat them slightly green. Not brown spotted, not fully yellow, slightly green. The firmer the banana, the more resistant starch, the less blood sugar impact. And here's a trick that most dietitians will not tell you. A green banana sliced and cooled in the refrigerator for 2 hours actually increases its resistant starch even further. Cooling converts more of the starch into the resistant form. Same principle that works with potatoes and rice. Now I need to be crystal clear about bananas. If you are taking metformin for blood sugar management, listen carefully. The resistant starch in green bananas can affect how your body absorbs the medication. It does not mean you cannot eat them. It means eat them at least 2 hours apart from your metformin dose. Talk to your doctor about timing. And if you have kidney disease, be careful with bananas in general because of the potassium content. Your nephrologist needs to know about any dietary changes. Now, if bananas are number 3, what could possibly be number 2 and what on earth is number 1? Stay with me, because what comes next is the part that changes everything, and it connects directly to what happened with Sandra. Number 2, the apple. There is a reason the old saying exists. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. And for once, the science backs it up. But only if you eat it right. Here is what I want you to understand. The key compound in apples is pectin. Pectin is a soluble fiber found in the skin and the flesh, mostly in the skin. When pectin reaches your stomach, it forms a gel. Picture pouring honey through a colander. Everything slows down. Glucose absorption slows down. The sugar from the apple and from whatever you ate with it enters your bloodstream gradually instead of all at once. A study published in the journal Diabetologia found that pectin reduced post-meal insulin demand by 35%. 35% less insulin needed from a fiber that is already inside the apple. Read that number one more time. 35%. But here is the mistake that cancels this benefit entirely. Most people peel their apples, or they eat applesauce, or they drink apple juice. And the moment you remove the skin or break the fiber through processing, you lose the pectin effect. Apple juice has zero pectin benefit. Zero. Applesauce has minimal. A whole apple with the skin on, that is where the medicine lives. And the cost? A single Fuji or Gala apple at Aldi or Target runs about 70 to 90 cents. Cut it into slices. Eat it after your protein at lunch or dinner, with the skin on. That is non-negotiable. Now here is a detail from a 2022 study published in Foods by researchers in Japan. They tested apple consumption before a rice meal versus after. The group that ate the apple first had a measurably delayed blood glucose peak and a smaller overall spike. That is the meal sequencing principle. Actually, let me correct myself. The ideal order is protein first, then apple, then carbohydrate, protein, fruit, carbs. That sequence gives you the strongest protection. Remember that. So if apples are number 2, what could possibly be number 1? Here is where Sandra comes back into the story, and here is where everything changed for her. After I explained the fiber matrix, after I showed her which fruits were hurting her, Sandra was devastated. She thought she had been doing everything right for 3 years, but I told her something that stopped her cold. I said, "Sandra, what if I told you there is one fruit that does not just avoid the damage, it actually helps reverse the insulin resistance that has been building up?" She looked at me and said, "Is that even possible?" It is, and the research behind it shocked even me. Number 1, the blueberry. I told you at the beginning. Sandra, 67 years old, A1C of 8.2. Her doctor had been pushing insulin for over a year. She refused. She said she wanted to try food first. Her doctor was skeptical but agreed to give her 12 weeks. Sandra did 3 things. She added half a cup of blueberries every single day. She ate them after her protein at breakfast, and she stopped blending fruit entirely. That was it. No extreme diet, no fasting, no supplements. 12 weeks later, A1C 6.3. Her doctor did not congratulate her at first. He pulled out his phone and searched the research. Here is what he found. A randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study published in the Journal of Nutrition in 2010, led by researchers at Pennington Biomedical Research Center, gave obese, insulin-resistant adults the equivalent of freeze-dried blueberry powder daily. Control group got a placebo. After 6 weeks, the blueberry group showed significantly improved insulin sensitivity compared to placebo. Their cells started responding to insulin again. Let me say that one more time. In 6 weeks, their bodies became better at using their own insulin. Not from a drug, not from a procedure, from a fruit. Here is the mechanism. And bear with me for 60 seconds because what comes next will change how you think about this forever. The active compounds in blueberries are called anthocyanins. Those are the pigments that make blueberries blue. When they enter your bloodstream, they activate an enzyme called AMPK, adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. Think of AMPK as a master switch inside your cells. When it turns on, your cells open their doors to glucose. Glucose moves out of the blood and into the cell where it gets used for energy. Blood sugar drops. Insulin works better, and the effect lasts for hours. A separate meta-analysis of 22 randomized controlled trials published in Nutrition, Metabolism, and Cardiovascular Diseases in 2022 found that blueberry and cranberry intake reduced fasting blood glucose by nearly 18 milligrams per deciliter and reduced A1C by 0.32% in people with type 2 diabetes, 0.32% from fruit. That is a published meta-analysis across 22 clinical trials, and a 2021 trial from the University of East Anglia published in Clinical Nutrition tested the equivalent of 1 cup of fresh blueberries in adults with metabolic syndrome, average age 63. The blueberry group showed lower fasting glucose, lower insulin, and improved cholesterol. Not healthy college students, people like you. Now, Sandra's results were on the better end of what I typically see. Not everyone responds exactly like she did. Your experience may be different. Some patients see changes faster, some slower. What matters is the direction. And the research shows the majority of people do see meaningful improvement. The cost. A 2-pound bag of frozen blueberries at Walmart costs between $5 and $7. A single serving, half a cup, costs you about 49 cents. Frozen works just as well as fresh. In some cases better, because the berries are flash frozen at peak ripeness, which preserves the anthocyanin content. Now I need to be crystal clear about blueberries and medications. If you are taking metformin, blueberries can enhance its blood sugar lowering effect. That sounds like a good thing, but it means your blood sugar could drop too low if you are not monitoring. Check your levels more frequently when you start. If you are on blood thinners like warfarin, the vitamin K in blueberries is relatively low compared to leafy greens, but it is still worth mentioning to your doctor. And if you have kidney stones history, oxalates in blueberries can be a concern for some people. Start with a quarter cup and increase gradually. Do not exceed 1 cup daily, and if you experience dizziness or your blood sugar drops below 70, stop and call your doctor. Now, before I give you the full action plan, there is something critical I need to tell you, because some of you are about to go home and make a mistake that cancels everything I just taught you. And the first one, almost everybody does it. 4 fruit mistakes that destroy the blood sugar benefit completely. Mistake 1, fruit juice of any kind. The moment you juice a fruit, any fruit, you strip out the fiber and concentrate the sugar. A glass of orange juice has 21 grams of sugar. A glass of apple juice has 24. That sugar hits your liver in minutes. No fiber to slow it, no pectin to form a gel, just pure liquid fructose. The label says no sugar added. That does not mean no sugar. The sugar was already there, you just removed the part that protected you from it. Mistake 2. Fruit in a blender. I know smoothies are popular, but the moment you put fruit in a blender, you shred the fiber matrix. The fiber is technically still there, but it is broken into pieces so small it no longer forms that protective gel in your stomach. A blueberry smoothie does not give you the same benefit as eating whole blueberries. Not even close. If you must blend, add protein powder first. Use a small portion of fruit and drink it slowly. But whole fruit eaten with a fork is always better. Mistake 3. Fruit on an empty stomach. This is the biggest timing mistake I see. People wake up, eat a banana or a bowl of grapes, nothing else on an empty stomach. That fruit sugar hits your bloodstream with nothing to slow it down. The fix is simple. Protein first, then fruit. Even a few bites of yogurt or a boiled egg before your fruit changes the absorption dramatically. Mistake 4. Dried fruit. Raisins, dried mango, dried cranberries, dates. These are concentrated sugar. A quarter cup of raisins has 29 grams of sugar. 29. And because the water is removed, you eat more volume without feeling full. If you take warfarin or blood thinners, pay extra attention. Some dried fruits, especially cranberries, can interact with warfarin and affect your INR levels. Talk to your doctor before adding concentrated fruit products. 4 mistakes. Juice, blender, empty stomach. Dried fruit. Avoid all 4, and the 7 fruits I just ranked will work for you instead of against you. Now, the action plan. Here is exactly what to do starting today. Step 1. Breakfast. Half a cup of frozen blueberries mixed into Greek yogurt or eaten after your eggs. Every morning. Buy a 2-pound bag of frozen blueberries at Walmart, Aldi, or Costco. $5 to $7. That is enough for about 2 weeks. Step 2. Lunch. If you want fruit at lunch, 1 small apple with the skin on, eaten after your protein and vegetables. Not before, not as a snack between meals. After the meal. Step 3. Dinner. No fruit at dinner. Dinner is for protein and vegetables. Save fruit for earlier in the day when your body processes sugar more efficiently. Step 4. The timing rule. Never eat fruit alone. Always after protein. Always after a meal. This one rule protects you more than any specific fruit choice. Step 5. The portion rule. Half a cup of berries, 1 small apple, 10 grapes, a few slices of green banana. These are serving sizes, not a bowl, not a bag, a measured amount. Now here is what to expect, and I am going to be honest with you because I do not want you to quit after 3 days. Week 1, you might crave your morning smoothie. You might miss the mango. Your taste buds need about 5 to 7 days to adjust. Push through. This is temporary. Week 2, you should start noticing your fasting blood sugar stabilizing. Not dramatic drops yet, but less variation, less of those confusing morning spikes. Week 3. This is when most of my patients call me excited. The numbers start moving. Energy improves. That afternoon crash starts to fade. Week 4 and beyond, measurable improvement. Track your fasting blood sugar every morning. By week 4, the trend should be clear. And if you stick with this for 12 weeks, the A1C change can be meaningful. The discomfort of week 1 confirms it is working. Your body is adjusting because something is actually changing. Most people quit at day 3, but the people who push through to week 3, those are the ones who call me 6 months later saying it changed their life. Now I want to tell you the last part of Sandra's story. 4 months after she started the Blueberry protocol, Sandra sent me a photograph. It was her lab results, A1C 6.3. And underneath, she had written in pen, no needles. She keeps a blue notebook by her bed where she tracks her morning numbers. Tuesday morning, 142. Wednesday, 136. Thursday, 129. She told me her daughter cried when she saw the results. Her daughter said, "Mom, I am so sorry I told you smoothies were healthy." Sandra did not blame her daughter. She said something I will never forget. She said, "Nobody told us. Now we know. Nobody told you either, until now. So here is what I need you to do. Type 'I finished' if you watched the whole thing, and share this with one person. Your mother, your father, your spouse. One person who eats fruit and does not know what you just learned. That one share could change their trajectory. And listen, there is one more thing I did not tell you today. Something most people do every single morning that makes their blood sugar worse before they even eat breakfast. It has nothing to do with fruit. It has to do with the first 15 minutes after you wake up. And the research on it surprised even me. That is next week. Do not let anyone tell you it is too late, because it is not. Your body is more adaptable than you have been told. You just proved that by staying with me for this entire video. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.